Hi, brother Marcus Luna and Barney, 23rd of November 2013, doing a video about the first blog I ever wrote, the facts about the British economy. So let's get right into it. I've always wondered why there's no real opposition to the monarchy in the UK. The majority of the British people seem to have an extreme case of Stockholm Syndrome. So let's get something straight about the British economy. First off, they steal your money through taxation. The British people pay for the ridiculously lavish lifestyle of these super rich people. The Queen's official expenditure increased by £900,000 from £3.24 million during 2011-2012 financial year. Okay, so again, the Queen's official expenditure increased by £900,000 from £32.4 million during the 2011-2012 financial year, to £33.3 million in 2012-2013. And that's according to the Royal Public Finances Annual Report. So at a time when the Trussell Trust have seen the largest rise in the use of food banks since the charity began in 2000, 346,992 people received a minimum of 3 days emergency food from the Trussell Trust food banks in 2012-2013. So again, just so we're clear, 346,992 people received a minimum of 3 days emergency food from Trussell Trust food banks in 2012-2013. And that is compared to 128,697 in 2011-2012. And that is up from 26,000 in 2008-2009. Now, this is a seriously shocking statistic, especially when you think the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's Diamond Jubilee tour of Southeast Asia and the South Pacific cost £370,000 alone. Again, £370,000 alone. Their Diamond Jubilee tour of Southeast Asia. It's clearly an excess that cannot be tolerated any longer. But have some of this. At a time when homelessness is on the rise in the UK, and with Charity Shelter in England saying that families living in B&Bs is at a 10-year high, there is at least 11 royal residences. So families on low wages, unable even to rent a proper home, they're living in B&Bs, are paying through taxes that they're working for these palaces. So what about this? How about giving people an option to pay for the royals' excessive and fucking ridiculous lifestyle? I wonder how many ardent royalists and pearly kings would decide that their money is better off in their pockets and not in the claws of an out-of-touch throwback to the feudal age. And you could make the argument, we have to pay as much for a president. Firstly, we don't need to take care of our president's entire extended family forever. And at least we'll have chosen that person, to pay for that institution through our taxes. We'll have to choose a particular person. We'll be forced to prop up a snobbish, elitist family who only get where they are from an accident of birth. But it's worse than that because they're also racist. And let's talk about this. Prince Harry was filmed by the News of the World. You can see it, calling someone a packy and saying to someone else, "You look like a raghead." And this is before we even get to the Duke of Edinburgh. Anyone could actually write a novel of the amount of vile racist rubbish that has come out of his mouth over the years, including when he appeared at a fuse box at a Scottish factory. He said, "It looks as though it was put in by an Indian." And then he later backtracked, "I meant to say a cowboy," as if that's any better, At a WF meeting in 1986 he says, "If it has 4 legs and not a chair, it's got 2 wings and it flies, but it's not an airplane. And if it swims and not a submarine, the Cantonese will eat it." Rubbish. He said to Aboriginal leader William Bryn in Queensland 2002, "Do you still throw spears at each other?" And that's just what he said in public. It's bad enough. When people say, "Oh, they're just gaffes." Oh, look, he just, the bumbling old man, he just made a gaffe. It goes further than that. It's indicative in their culture. Elizabeth Burgess, who worked as Prince Charles' personal secretary at Highgrove, told an employment tribunal that she was subjected to years of racial abuse because she was black. She said the Prince's valet, Michael Fawcett, once called her a fucking nigger typist. Although it must be stressed that Prince Charles himself was never accused of this. It was the staff, but it's just not on, if that's the culture with your staff, and then let's go there. What about the Catholics? Okay. Recent changes made it possible for a monarch to marry a Catholic, but not for a Catholic to be a monarch now. I am no cheerleader for the Catholic Church. Far, far from it. The Catholic Church is a poisonous institution. Absolutely. It's a haven for child molesters, and they have a culture of covering it up, and the institutionalised religion of their form only serves to hold people back from true spiritual realisation. Okay? But I don't think it's right to limit someone's power to be head of the state based on what they believe. I agree with the Catholic Church have the right to exist, fine. Yeah, that's fine. People should be able to believe what they want, and that's what we have to be mindful of. Everyone should have absolute freedom of religion, But how a Catholic can't be a monarch? I've heard people say, "Oh, the monarch is the head of the Church of England, so they can't be Catholic." Fair enough. Well, let's explore that now. I understand that because the monarch is the supreme governor of the Church of England, it's a largely ceremonial role. It does persist as an argument. So, why is the head of such a large religious organisation based on what family they were born into? This person could be completely devoid of any spirituality and think that Christianity is just all bullshit, but still be the head of the Church of England because that's what they were born into, and they're the monarch. It's madness. Why is the head of the Church of England not elected by members of the General Synod, based on their spirituality? What crazy radical idea is that? Can you imagine if we had a rule banning the Prime Minister from being a Muslim? It would be intolerable. It would be thought intolerable by everyone, and they'd be quite right to think that. But the way the British political system is, it doesn't seem like we'll have a Muslim party leader anytime soon. Absolutely not. But there are several arguments people use for the existence of a monarchy. And some of the most popular are, they perform an amazing public service. Okay, so if you were given a job for life, that paid a fortune, and all you had to do was walk about waving, going on holidays, and staying in the best accommodation, having people over for dinner, if you offered me that job, I'd be the best fucking public servant you ever saw. Would you suggest that a president wouldn't perform the same amazing public service, for that money? Of course he would. Well, maybe he wouldn't, but then we could vote that person out of office and he could fuck off. The monarch is there for life and extremely unaccountable. Another one, people said, well, you wouldn't want a President Blair, would you? And this one gets me big style. For a start, there's no evidence Tony Blair would even run for such a position, Although anything Tony Blair does would never ever surprise me. Let's face it, if he did actually run, do you really think that after Iraq and these weapons of mass destruction that was never found and it was a complete lie, do you think anyone in Britain would actually vote for him? Seriously? I mean, they'd have to spike our water with LSD and then run on a platform for £1,000 for every single vote to even stand a remote chance, and even then, I don't think it would happen. Another thing people say is, oh, the royals are great for tourism. Are they? It's never actually been proven. Of the top 20 unpaid attractions in England in 2012, according to Visit England, not one royal residence was on it. That's how vital they are. I hardly think that the royals even need to get people, we even need them to get people to visit Britain. Flamingo Land is actually more of an incentive to visit Britain. It is right up there in the top 10, and none of theirs are. Another one is the royals promote trade and industry. Really? Well, where's the evidence of that? The fact that Britain is in the top 5 economies in the world, the G8 industrialised nations in the world, and that London is a major world finance centre. Now, what part of that is actually down to the royals? I'll make it simple. None whatsoever. The evidence just simply does not exist. Here's another one. They represent us abroad. Given the racist comments that were already mentioned, I somehow don't think they particularly portray Britain in a positive light. Sure, the Americans love a good royal occasion, for their champagne breakfast, but they have a constitutional republic. Do you think Americans watch a royal wedding and think to themselves, well, darn it, I wish we were still a head of state here? Of course they don't. They're fucking happy they got out of it. Here's another one. The royals are above politics. Seriously? Why doesn't one of his advisors go and tell Prince Charles that then? Because he's fucking always interfering. That memo is one the man did not get. Here's a bit of proof. On August the 13th, 2013, Prince Charles faced a Commons inquiry into political influence. The committee was charged to look at reports that since the Tory Lib Dem coalition, whatever you want to call it, took power, Charlie held 36 meetings with ministers. Yeah, he's got nothing to do with anything. Look, it's very simple. It makes literally no sense to have people in a privileged position simply because of the family they were born into. It's ludicrous. You don't have to love your captors who steal your money, which people do. It's ridiculous. They steal your money without your consent and basically do what they like with the blessing of the deluded masses. They don't care about you or enhance your life or your country. They care about themselves and keeping the stranglehold they have on the British people. Don't fool yourself into thinking the British people matter to them emotionally. They fucking don't. The British people matter to them financially, and that's it. They have had a free ride for so long, and there's no way they're going to get off on their own personal gravy train. I think we can turn to our own friend Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, for an insight into what they really think of us when he turned to the Paraguay dictator General Stroessner, a man who literally committed genocide and said, it's a pleasure to be in a country that is not ruled by its people. Brother Marcos Luna, brothermarcosluna.blogspot.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Fuck the Royals.